Let's talk about the neck. Here is a red chalk drawing called the Libyan Sibyl, a study for the Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo. And here's a couple of quick head studies, and I circle on the front there the pit of the neck, or the suprasternal notch, which is a really useful landmark we'll talk about. And here's a head from the back and neck, and the 7th cervical vertebra is the equivalent landmark from the back. So those are useful things to look for your center of balance. So let's talk about the bones and muscles of the neck. So starting with the skeleton, the bones we're talking about are your cervical vertebra. So that's your vertebra from the base of your skull down to your 7th cervical vertebra there, which is at the back. And you can see here at the back and front, I numbered the cervical vertebra for you and circled the 7th one in red there, the little bump you feel on the back of your neck when you put your head forward. On the front you have your suprasternal notch. So your sternum, suprasternum just means above your sternum. It's the pit of your neck, and that's a really useful landmark from the front. These are great landmarks because they're the center of balance for the model, so they're a really useful place for you to look for balance on a figure. Muscle we'll talk about, because we already talked about the trapezius at the back, will be your sternomastoid, or sometimes called sternocleidoid mastoid, which goes from your mastoid process, and it has both a sternal and a clavicular head. So OC is origin clavicular and OS is origin sternal there on the left, and there's a side view of the insertion. On the right are some drawings from a book by Dr. Paul Richet, showing you the neck in different positions and what the muscles are doing underneath. And we can see we have a lot of, now there's definitely some other muscles underneath there, but for the sake of drawing, we're mostly going to worry about the trapezius and sternomastoid, because you can see some of these other muscles are underneath. And he even adds a mastoidus, sternocleidoid mastoidus, but let's just call it a sternomastoid. Here are a couple of other views from the Richet book, head down and head up, showing you what the muscles of the neck are doing. Surface form on the left, and he kind of dissects it for you to show what's going on the inside on the right. So from the front, we draw it going down from the mastoid process, both to the clavicle and the sternum. So it has a sternal head and a clavicular head. And then from the back, we don't really see much of it at all. So it's the trapezius mostly, and then a little bit of sternomastoid behind it from the back. So from the front, we can think of the sternomastoid like a bonnet string muscle, right? It would hang, the string comes right from behind your ears, and then the knot would be right there at the pit of your neck from the front. Another really important thing about drawing the neck from the side is that your neck has a forward thrust to it. If you put a shirt on backwards, you know you did, because your neck is higher in the back than it is in the front. So your neck has a forward thrust. It's not straight up and down like a balloon string hanging from a balloon. So watch for that tilt. A good simple shape to use to think of the neck would be a cylinder tilted a little bit forward, again higher at the back, lower at the front. And then you have your sternomastoid, which goes through your mastoid process right under your ear. So it goes from the sides and spirals around to the front to the pit of your neck. So again, sternomastoid kind of curves around, wrapping around your esophagus and trachea from mastoid process and your ear to the pit of your neck at the front. Here are a couple of Michelangelo drawings, and we can see on both of these he knows his structure backwards and forwards. 7 cervical vertebrae are really clear on the drawing on the left, and from the front, the suprasternal notch, or the pit of the neck, really clear from the front. So again, these are really useful landmarks. Here's a Michelangelo and a Raphael, and they're both using these landmarks to help get a balance. So from the front, again, the pit of your neck, or suprasternal notch, is your center of balance. And from the back, your 7th cervical vertebra. So you might be tempted to use the head, but you can move your head back and forth without moving your center of balance. But if you've moved your shoulders, then the pit of your neck or your 7th cervical vertebra will move along with it. So it's a really good place to look for balance if your figures look like they're tipping. Back to the Michelangelo red chalk drawing of the Libyan Sibyl. And I hope this has been useful to help you understand the structure of the neck and troubleshoot your drawings, and both with balance and with the neck in particular.